Welcome to the Fit Drivers Podcast, sponsored by 10th Street, connecting carriers and drivers to make life easier, pre and post-hire. From efficient and seamless recruiting to tools that keep drivers engaged and compliant and on the road. 10th Street helps you market, hire, retain, and grow. Learn more at 10thstreet.com. All right. Hey, everybody. Listen, thank you so much for joining another Fit Drivers Podcast. Really got a great show for you today. I think you're going to find this very interesting. We actually have with us a CDL driver who has had great success, and along with Mike, you're also going to hear from Dr. Katie Hill, who works for Nudj Health. But first, I want to talk a little bit about Mike. He's a professional driver for several years. He's been working with Nudj Health to improve and take advantage and take care of his own personal health. Most importantly is he actually quit smoking. So I think he'll tell us it's been like a year. And joining him, of course, is Dr. Katie Hill. Katie is the co-founder and chief medical officer for Nudj Health. She has a double board certification psychiatrist and a lifestyle medicine physician. And so, welcome. Thank you so much. Good to see you, my friend. And a lot of people are interested to hear about what you've got to say today. So I'm going to start with you and tell us about, I'm always interested in when drivers get involved in the program, the why. Why today? What made you finally decide one day that you need to do something?
Well, my initial start with Nudj Health was actually through my cardiologist. So high blood pressure. Okay, and of course, with DOT physicals, that is a factor in whether you get 2-year, 1-year, 3-month endorsements. So it became an issue, and that's my cardiologist. I was a smoker at the time, real heavy smoker, like 2.5 packs a day.
Wow,
and
that's a full-time job.
I'm sorry?
That's a full-time job, smoking that many.
Yes. Well, when you sit behind the wheel, yeah, it's kind of easy. That was probably one of the hardest things, because it's a ritual. Whenever you're sitting there and you're driving, it's just one thing, pop cigarette in your mouth one after another while you're driving. And so my cardiologist was like, well, you want your blood pressure to go down, not only that, but you're going to end up killing yourself. You got to quit smoking. And I believe, isn't that when I was introduced to you, Katie?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
and I think I remember he telling you, this is not a joke.
Yes, exactly. He says, this is nothing to play around with. It's not a joke.
Yeah.
And I got serious with it. Mind you, it wasn't easy.
Sure.
But I didn't, there was it surprised me, there was zero relapse on it. So I did it through medications, and it was, I forget, who was the lady that you...
Her name was, we got you a coach, a health coach.
Yes.
And her name was, I'm going blank, I'll think of it. She was great.
Yeah.
So tell me, Mike, was how many days a week did you talk with your coach about?
Drew. Her name was Drew.
It started, it's start to finish, and it started out once every week, I believe, until the sensations, the cigarette sensation, the smoking cessation of nicotine, until it started tapering off. And then it was whenever I felt the need to call her, I could call her. But the initial visit, the scheduled visits, tapered off as I got better. They got further and further apart, but she was always there in case I needed her.
Right. So a little bit, Mike, about, so one of the reasons that obviously I've been CDL driver advocate. I have family. I have two brothers still drive today, and so I've been always involved in this for many, many years. And recognizing and bringing awareness to how bad the statistics are out there. And as you said, number one is blood pressure. Typically, that gets those drivers from a 2 year to a 1 year, and then or high
Right.
sugar levels, sleep apnea, right? And so,
Mm-hmm.
and as you have learned that, if you don't make a change and you go back, you're going to drop down to a 6 month or a 90 day. And, once you get a 90 day,
Right.
it's pretty easy, right? And people lose their livelihood. We lose right now 300,000 drivers a year.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you're out there on the road, you see a lot of drivers that are overweight and smoking and so forth. So, what I work on every day is trying to bring solutions. And that's why I was very, very interested, thrilled to get Nudj on here and get yourself on here so that we can get the word out so that people know there are solutions, right? And that's what they're
Yes.
looking for is how you can do it. But also too, you got to do the work, which I'm sure
Yeah.
like you said, right?
Uh,
You got to do the work.
yeah. With I was, I really wasn't forced up into it, but it was kind of a okay, yeah, half-hearted attempt because I was getting my 1 year with high blood pressure out here. Well, it's federal, but out here in California, anyways, the places I've been to, just because of the high blood pressure, I get the 1 year. It's no big
Right.
thing to me. But then just recently, I went for my DOT physical and had some trace of protein in the urinalysis.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay. That for whatever reason, they gave me a 3 month, and I really, really got serious with it because I'm not going to be healthed out of a job, unhealthed out of a
Right.
job. It's just not going to
Right.
happen. So I started doing. I threw out every bit of processed foods. Uh, I drink almond milk, and I love milk. I'll drink a flipping gallon a day if you let me. So yeah. So I got serious with it because this is a do or die coming up. I got to retest here next month.
Sure.
Uh,
Sure.
and but as to everybody out there, everybody's got to find their reason to get serious with it. And this was mine. Um, and of consequence, I've you hooked me up with a nutritionist. Who's the nutritionist?
Well, you might
Um,
have with
she's
you know,
supposed to be on this, Connie,
Angelina.
right?
Sorry, pardon?
What's her name? Connie? Or
Colleen, or it would have
Colleen?
been
Oh,
Angelina.
Yeah. So now I'm seeing a nutritionist.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I'm working out, and I'm doing the creatine powder and the protein powder because because of my lifestyle, I was thinking, okay, I'm not going to eat a whole lot of meat. I'm just going to deal with the frozen food, TV dinners, and apparently that wasn't good. That wasn't doing
yeah.
it. So now and just in the past 2 months, since I changed my diet and everything, I've lost a few pounds. I feel way better, and I'm feeling pretty positive about my next DOT physical.
Good. Good.
But it's through Nudj Health. They have all the resources you need.
Right.
Uh,
So let me get Dr. Hill to come in here. Dr. Hill, so
mhm,
tell us more about Nudge Health and of course the current space we work in is for CDL drivers, but how does this compare to the other populations you work with? These issues that Mike has been fighting and having success with. So how does it compare to your other traditional populations that what I refer to like the
mhm,
residential sector, people who can go to a doctor if they need somebody, that kind of thing. And of course, the life of a CDL driver is not always that easy. So tell us a little bit about Nudj Health and your success in some of these other populations.
Yeah. So thank you. So I'm a psychiatrist by background, and Nudge Health's program design is meant to help you change behavior to get you healthier in a lot of different ways. And it's meant to help you do step by step changes that feel really approachable, that feel doable, and that help increase your confidence. So, Mike, for example, you know, his cardiologist put the fear of God into him, and he came to me and said, I need help quitting smoking. I mean, literally, he said the cardiologist told him you're going to have a heart attack within 10 years. And he said, I don't want to do that. And the cardiologist said, you got to quit smoking. And so we put him on as many anti-smoking medications as possible because that's what the evidence shows is most effective. He had like a 75% chance of quitting when we used all the anti-smoking medications. If he were just to quit by himself, he had like a 20% risk of that. And he was successful. And then he got confident, which was really cool. So at Nudj Health, we have a smoking cessation and kind of like an alcohol decreasing program where we give you a health coach. Your coach's name was Drew, Mike, I remember.
Yes.
It helps you set goals and helps you work on the behavior that goes along with the quitting, the work that you talked about earlier, Bob. And then after he finished with smoking and he was successful for that, and we continued to support him for 6 to 9 months or so after he quit. It wasn't like we just left and said, congratulations, you're quit. Right. No, we continued to support him. We continued to meet with Drew. We kept giving him medication. And then, the changes in your brain happen slowly. And then he was willing to say, you know what, I really need to exercise more. And so then we got him a coach for exercise and teaching him exercises. And what's unique about the CDL population is they're always traveling. They're always on the road. They're not at home. And it's not really easy to have a normal routine and get to things. And so what Nudj Health does is we do all of our treatment virtually. So we connect with people. We can connect with people at a rest stop, and they can do the exercises in wherever they are. So Mike was able to do his resistance training at night, wherever he was when he was on the road.
Sure.
I think he supports county fairs in the middle of like fair season when it was really, really busy. He was still able to do that. And we start low and we start small. And then he got stronger and he got excited about it. And once he got stronger, he got in shape, then he was willing to tackle the food, which is really hard for a lot of people. And so his level of confidence just kept increasing. And so with the CDL population, it's a little bit unique because they're so transient. The schedule's always changing. You never know where they're going to be from moment to moment and from day to day. But we're still able to connect with people because we can do a lot of phone calls via telephone. We can do some with video for specific purposes. But we always have this really solid foundation of high evidence base. So we really use kind of like the research-backed strategies that make it more likely for people to achieve their health goals. And that's exactly what happened, Mike.
I certainly commend you for that because I know in my experience coaching a lot of the drivers, because so many of our drivers are obviously very overweight, and exercise is something that's very, very difficult. And I have to tell you, that's your profession, until you really get your head wrapped around it, right, and embrace it and understand, and then ready to make some changes. And once you can lose the weight and get it down, then all of a sudden your mind opens up to, okay, what's next, right? Now you have more energy. You can do some walks. You can do some band workouts, that kind of thing, right, Mike? Which I'm sure you're experiencing now. And then you start learning. And, I used to, one of the first fundamentals I did, doctor, when I was coaching drivers, they would go into the truck stop and I said, okay, call me tonight when you go and tell me, pick out your favorite beverage and read it to me. And I want them to read the labels, right? And they're reading it and they had no idea that, they were getting juice thinking they were, doing something good, but, it's sugar. And they didn't realize there's like 2 or 3 servings in that. So all of a sudden they're taking in over amount of sugar. And I can't tell you how many times I walked into a truck stop and drivers stand there and they see me and they got, they got bananas and they got fruit and all that. And they said, Bob, look what I'm doing. And I said, well, that's great. You're making the right steps, but that's a lot of sugar, my friend. It's fruit and juice on top of that. So you need to get some protein in there, right? Those simple little things like that, they just don't know. And so I commend you on giving him these roadmap really to really kind of follow. Doctor, it's really great. But so, Mike, tell us now. So you mentioned earlier you're feeling so much better now, and you're
Yes.
starting to lose weight. So, what was the most difficult part for you when you got started?
Uh, Getting started. Believe it or not, that's the most difficult
That's
part.
what I wanted to hear.
It's actually,
That's what I wanted to hear.
is getting
Because
started. There's kind of like a little like a breakthrough window when like the first couple of days of working out or walking, doing your exercises, whatever routine that you're doing. You're like, I don't want to, and it's easy just to drop it. But then after, I don't know, after about a week or so of doing it, you like almost kind of feel guilty if you're not getting into the routine. So it's kind of it's
right.
like a breakthrough moment, and I don't know if that time frame's different for everybody. For me, it was like the first um, week and a half, somewhere right around there, to where I just if I didn't do something having to do with whatever workout routine I was doing, then I just didn't feel right mentally. I just didn't feel right.
Right.
So um, that would be the most difficult thing. As for me, it was just actually
So what?
getting started and getting going.
So you mentioned you have another DOT coming up because you got a 90-day card. Do you mind
Right.
when does that come up? How much longer do you have before you go back?
Uh, I can actually do it in a month and a half. Uh, the company I work for, they want me to get it done before that because I'm having to travel from Santa Rosa, California, into Boise, Idaho, and that's 2 round
Oh, okay.
trips.
Okay.
So they want me squared away um, before we go do that jump. We call them jumps.
Got it.
So
Yeah, okay. So,
yeah,
but you said earlier you're feeling pretty good about the route you're on now, right? The trail,
yes,
and you feel like you're going to come out pretty good. So back to
correct.
you, Doctor. I wanted to ask you some more about Nudj Health and about some of the success you've had with other companies and individuals that you've been able to go in and really prove and show how you move the needle, right? Because I think, one of the other, populations that you have great success in is helping companies with on their medical plan of getting people really that are not engaged in seeing a physician, right? And taking control of their health and making changes before it gets too late. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so, many people find themselves a little bit at a crossroad when they go into the doctor and they know they're not the healthiest. They know they're not in the greatest shape, but they feel really overwhelmed with change and they're not really sure what to do. And so we work with doctors, with medical practices, and we work with companies and individuals um, to start people on a behavior change plan that feels approachable. So we have treatment pathways for depression and anxiety, for stress management. We have pathways for, again, smoking cessation and alcohol reduction. We have pathways for sleep because sleep is a really important fundamental kind of health behavior. And a lot of people have struggled with sleep, and so we have a great behavioral treatment program for sleep. And we coach people in fitness, and we coach people in nutrition, and we also coach people who are lonely because strong social connections are really important to health and longevity as well. And so, in our program, with thousands of patients now spread out all across the country, we see a 50 to 60% reduction in anxiety and depression symptoms in about 5 to 6 months. We see about a 5 to 14% weight loss and improvement in diabetes markers, improvement in cholesterol, and decreases in blood pressure in 5 to 6 months. People get 20% stronger with the fitness program in 5 to 6 months, and they go from zero or averaging very low minutes of physical activity a day, much like the CDL population, to 120 minutes a week. And all of a sudden, they're meeting the US preventative services task force recommendation for physical activity. And their sleep improves by about 30 to 40%. They make new friends, they make new connections, they reconnect with family members and old family members, and they quit smoking. They decrease their alcohol intake. And so really, and we go step by step, and we ask people to be partners with us. This is not kind of a very top-down approach. It was Mike coming to us saying, help me with this, and me saying to Mike, what do you want to do? What do you want to try? Are you willing to talk to me about medication? If you are, let's talk about all the different options and see what you want to do. And we're going to pair it with Drew, the coach, so that you don't feel like you're alone. And then we're going to walk with you kind of step by step. And so we've been really successful. We're really excited. And we help not only treat, a lot of people come to us like Mike when they have a health problem, but then some people come to us before they have a health problem. And Mike is now he's in the stage of preventing future problems down the road. And so we found that, with diet, exercise, smoking changes, it could be that his heart is healthier now than it was, 5 years ago. He has a younger heart now than he did 5 years ago. He can continue to be younger next year than he was the year before. When you think about your biological age and your stress levels, Mike has brought all of that down. And
Well,
so he's doing
that's one of the things that
mode.
Yeah, that's why I'm always very intrigued about in the transportation space, because it is about, prevention. The companies work very hard, and I'm sure Mike can talk about this, on keeping their equipment and running tip-top shape, right? So that they get the best mileage, best fuel mileage out, and so forth. But your body's no different, right? So, and safety is key in transportation, as I'm sure Mike has been drilled many times, but you can't be safe if you're not well. And that's the message we're trying to get, that you need to take better care of yourself out there on the road. But if you had to tell drivers out there, give them one tip, what would you say to them?
I would say, don't, just because you're feeling good now and you're and you're not living the healthiest lifestyle, it'll catch up to you. Do it now before it gets too hard. You don't want to find
Prevention.
you don't want to be doing your DOT physical and find out, hey, it's too late, and then you're off looking for a job that you really don't want.
That's great advice. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's just true.
Right.
That's very true. And unfortunately, a lot of drivers get put in that position, right? They've got to leave and go do something they don't want to do, and they're not happy. So, well, it's been very enlightening, Mike. I can't tell you. This is a great story. I'd like to throw it out there that reach back out and in a couple months after you've gotten your 1-year card back, or maybe even your 2-year card back, and have you come back on and tell us how you did. And
I'm pushing for the 2. I think I'm going to sit down and have a talk with the physician and say, look, this is what I've done, and can I get my 2? So.
All right. Well, you keep up the good work, and thank you so much for coming on. I've been very honest in telling your story. Dr. Hill, thank you so much, and I look forward to having you folks back on in a couple months, hopefully, and with some other big news from Mike. So, Mike, take care of yourself, stay safe, and I appreciate it very much.
All right, and you as well. Thank you.
All right, my friend. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Welcome to the Fit Drivers Podcast, sponsored by 10th Street, connecting carriers and drivers to make life easier, pre and post hire, from efficient and seamless recruiting to tools that keep drivers engaged and compliant and on the road. 10th Street helps you market, hire, retain, and grow. Learn more at 10thstreet.com.